Hey guys, this is Sanjay. Uh, this session we're going to talk about SEO really, like kind of an introduction of SEO, or maybe the basics of it, or a little bit basics of it, not going into too much details. Just give an idea to you guys that what it means. So the literal meaning of SEO is nothing but search engine optimization. Now again, what does it mean and how does it impact my business is a very important aspect of it. Well, it really means that, and to put it very simply, by the way, is when you're trying to do a search on Google, and I'm picking up Google, but there are like search engines all around, and we have like tons of search engines around, and we play with them every day, like YouTube, Kayak, Bing, you name it. There are like so many of them, right? I'm taking an example of a Google at this point. So in Google, what we do is really that when we come in and say, hey, give me a list of roofers next to me, or dentists, or a plumbers next to me, what Google does is picks up the keywords you are looking for, and like kind of plumbers or roofers or everything, and then you pick up your location and goes back into its database and search for those keywords and come back with a list which are like close and nearby to your list, and give them a ranking too on that. Now Google's ranking is really like they uses like actually more than 200 plus criterias to rank something, and nobody knows, and it keeps on changing like hundreds of time in a year. So it's very difficult to keep a track of that, but there are certain guidelines, there are certain things which I would talk about, like factors which impact the Google ranking, and we'll talk about that in a little bit of that. But the moment you do the search, Google brings you the ranking results, right? Now, the moment the ranking comes in, the question comes around like, hey, listen, so how did Google find this data? So what Google does is really, then basically I'm talking about how Google works. So Google has two process. One is crawling part of it, and then it crawling really is it's Google crawlers are nothing but a set of programs which goes around and look for all the websites and take the contents of the websites, and which are publicly available though, and bring it back to the database where it indexes and put it into back of their systems, which are later indexed for people like us. When we just make a queries, they use that data. That's part one. Part two is they have a ranking algorithms, right? So based on the contents and the searches, there are certain set of things which Google, or criteria as Google follows it through, as I was talking earlier. They rank the data. These are the two things Google does, and it just and the system stays there. And when you do the search, it works well that way. Now, when you do a Google search, and as a small business or as a business, if your search does not appear on the first page of it, right, then your business is not really known to people or to your consumers. Like how many times you actually saw a list of 10 restaurants when you look for, and you went to the second page to look for somebody else. Normally you come back and you pick up the top three, the first one or the top three of them. You know that as far as the data is concerned, the 40% of people actually pick up the first Google search results, and like around 70% probably pick up 3 to 5, between the first three or 3 to 5. If you're not on the first page, which is like 10, nobody looks at you really. And it's a joke, it's a running joke which says that if you have a dead body, you can hide it on the second page of Google search results. And that's funny, but actually it's so true that if people cannot find you on Google, you actually don't exist, right? That's a very hard fact there, right? So now, so talk about the factors which are impacting Google ranking. The first one comes to mind is speed. How does speed is important? So if your website is really slow, Google will not put you on the top of the list. Why? Because they want their consumers or their users or people who are using Google to click and get the best results. So they're kind of building a trust, or they have already built a trust, that whenever I mean Google lists a website or a URL, or sorry, a plumbing or a roofer or restaurant first, You click the website and the website will work fine and it's performant. So make sure that your website is performant speed. Now, other thing which is very important thing, and it has been growing fast, is mobile first approach, meaning that all your websites you have, that has to work on the mobile also. If your website is not mobile friendly, the UI or user interface is not a responsive UI. Responsive really means that it works on either platform, whether it's an iPad or a Android and a desktop and a phone. Yes, you have a trouble. So make sure that your website is compatible and it's mobile friendly, or mobile user experience is good. The third thing is the content. The content itself is very important. It's not about you have to write pages and pages of contents in there. It's that to be very relevant contents in there. Very important. So the content has to be really, really good. The other thing, which is a smaller factor, which is a URL length. People give a lot of big, long URLs. Like, try to keep it smaller, keep it relevant, right? So longer the URL length, it's difficult. I mean, people cannot get access, so people cannot see that thing very well, right? And the backlinks. Now, the backlinks, people talk about that backlinks a lot. Backlinks is nothing but that how many other websites are referring to you, or how many website you are referring to. These kind of backlinks, you need to build those backlinks as part of that, right? And then comes, not the least, but another very important stuff, that is security. Your website needs to be secure. HTTPS, SSL. Make sure it is secure. If it's not secure, then that impacts your ranking on the Google. So these are the few things which are very, very important, and keep in mind about it. We'll talk more about SEO, going into details of on-page SEO, off-page SEO, what are the various keywords we have, and we should be considering it, contents on the page, and there's tons of stuff. So as in when we open up and peel the onion, we will see a lot of different things. All right, guys, as of now, this is good. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Take care, guys, now. Bye-bye.